What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host. It is Monday, November the 1st. The Halloween hangover is real. We have Giants and Chiefs on Monday Night Football. And to break it all down, joining me, as he does every Monday and Thursday for the rest of time, Tyler Sullivan. Sully, what's up, buddy?
What's up, Will? How you doing?
I'm good. I have, some high-level complaints about the general approach to Thanksgiving. I mean, Thanksgiving, Halloween. Good Lord, this year in that, how about Halloween is just the final Saturday in October.
Well, that was my question. So I just moved out to the suburbs, and this was our first Halloween out here. And so I was wondering, I'm like, is this and this is me selfishly, because obviously we cover football. Sundays are a little bit busy for us this time of year. I was like, do they do it on like the Saturday? Like if it's the kids running around? Like, nope, on the day.
It is the
all right.
Well, but here's the problem. So if Halloween and it's like the goal of this podcast, let's keep it tight.
I know, right?
The very quick high level issue is that we did something Friday night with friends for Halloween. We did something Saturday night or Saturday evening, and then Sunday you actually trick or treat. So just pick a day. Like Thanksgiving is not on November X every year. It's on the third Thursday or whatever. How about we just do that with Halloween? Because like I'm walking around the neighborhood streaming Bucks Saints on my phone, like trying to make sure my son doesn't get run over as he's sprinting across the street in a Sussy Baka costume. Anyway, if you want to see me in dumb child costumes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/pick6. You can also watch me and Sully every Monday and Thursday. And of course, you can see us go live Monday, Thursday, and Sunday, Monday, and Thursday nights after the primetime games. We go live on YouTube. We were trying to give away a t-shirt on Sunday night, and I think we're going to try and do that tonight after Giants and Chiefs. Tuesday will be a 1:00 p.m. will be the mock draft show live on YouTube. 3:30 p.m. will be the live trade deadline reaction show, and then on Thursday 1 p.m. we have the pick show live on YouTube. Tons of YouTube content. Make sure and hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching on YouTube, tell us who you think will score the first touchdown on Monday Night Football. Press the like button as well while you are there. Giants Chiefs holds a hefty 10.5-point spread as of Monday morning around 11 a.m. The total here, 52, Sully. And we saw some buyback on this where it got down to like 9.5. People were kind of hitting the Giants pretty hard, but the injury report is not exactly friendly to the Giants. Saquon Barkley has been ruled out. Kenny Galladay has been ruled out. Lorenzo Carter also already out, as is Carter Coughlin. Not that is. Anyway, multiple wide receivers listed as questionable. Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney. We won't know until game time for them. Mike Rimmers is questionable for the Chiefs. Anthony Hitchens and Kalen Saunders are both ruled out. Looks like Chris Jones should be back. Travis Kelsey and Darrell Williams both had full practice on Saturday, as did Joe Tooney and L'Jarius Sneed and Trey Smith. Banged up a little offensive line there. And another player on the Chiefs injury report,
Tyron Mathieu,
had full practice. So those guys should be good to go. But, remains to be seen, and it matters for DFS and for props with Toney and Shepard. What do you think about this spread and this total?
And one thing about Shepard and Toney, too, they were limited in practice this week. I think Shepard didn't practice the first practice of the week, but then they both were at least on the field in some capacity. So there's at least optimism that they will be able to play in this game. It's not like they didn't practice. Like I know like DeAndre Hopkins, like during going up to that Thursday night game, didn't practice all week, which made you a little bit nervous, even though he didn't end up playing in that game, but he was in and out for a little bit of that. So just, at least you're seeing them on the field. So that's something that's encouraging. But to me, I still like the Giants, even though they're banged up. Another injury that we didn't even bring up there was Peppers. He's out for the season now, dealing with a torn ACL. So that's another one. But still, you're talking about 10.5 points going up against the defense that's allowing 6.6 yards per play, the highest in the NFL coming into week 8. It's just the Chiefs don't give you a lot of confidence right now. 2-5 against the spread this season, which is like the second worst, tied for the second worst in the NFL. And I have faith in Daniel Jones, who is sneakily having a solid season so far, to be able to go up against that secondary and make some plays and keep this game relatively close. I probably think the Chiefs are going to win, but I do think the Giants are going to cover.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I wouldn't. I don't. As far as the total goes, I don't really want to get in front of it because you have some unknowns with the Giants pass catchers, and you see this list, and it's like, all right, seems like both offenses are at least getting a little bit healthier, and both defenses are pretty bad. You know, the Giants are coming off a performance where they allowed the Panthers to score 3 points, but that was really more about Sam Darnold than it and sort of that game flow. That game was like 5-3 and late in the third quarter. It's just a miserable football game. The Chiefs can't stop anybody, and if you're betting on the Chiefs, in my opinion, you are betting on Kansas City, kind of running out to, I don't know. They have to come out of the gates blazing hot, run up the score, and then hold on to a lead late, which you don't really feel confident in them doing. It just feels like the back doors should be wide open for Daniel Jones. And I think you can look back at some of the games on Sunday that had huge totals, right? Where Cincinnati, they're up, they're 10.5-point favorite, granted on the road, and I don't want to say like the Bengals aren't the Chiefs, but I mean the Bengals have been better than the Chiefs this year, so it's hard.
They were the number one seed in the AFC going into week 8. So I mean, there's something to be said for that.
They lost to the Jets, and now the new number one seed is the Titans, who also lost to the Jets, which
getting weird.
Weird. Yeah, it's spooky season. I mean, my point being is that like I cannot in good conscience lay 10.5 with the Chiefs here. You just can't do it. And the thing that concerns me is that the line came down to 9.5 and then jumped back up to 10.5. I think anyway.
I believe it was around before. I think it was even before, like the early line was around like 13.5 for this game. And then it after the events of week 7, it kind of settled back down to around 10, then really dipped down to 9. And I thought it sat for 10 for a while. I even think last night it was sitting at 10, and it's bumped up a half point since going into this game on game day morning. So something to think about there, which kind of concerned me for, you see that number go up a little bit. I'm like, do they know something about these receivers that we don't know about?
Well, I mean, it's 9. You're like, I like the Giants plus 10.5. Just too many points. Chiefs not playing very well. And then it drops down to 9.5. You're like, yep, I was right. Like I said, it might move down. And now it's like shoots back up to 10.5. You're like,
right.
It makes you nervous. Like, why is that line flying towards the Chiefs across a key number in theory at 10 on game day? That scares the crap out of me. The Chiefs could blow out the Giants.
Of course. I mean, if you go back if you go back like last season, even just say, hey, listen, Giants, Chiefs, 10.5. You're like, please, come on now. This thing should be 14, 13.5. No problem at all. You should be able to cover this. They can blow doors against this team. But the Chiefs just haven't been, you have to look at what you've seen this year. They just haven't been they're a very talented team, but they're not really well put together when they actually get onto the field. The offensive line still dealing with issues. That defense, we all know, has had a ton of issues. Again, like I said, allowing 6.6 yards per play this season, which is like by far the most in the NFL. That's actually come down a little bit. I think it was around like 7.5, which was like the most all time. So, guess they're getting better, but not by much. And you have Daniel Jones, who's playing well, and he's going to get some weapons back, we assume, in Tony, in possibly Shepard. So again, I just think if you have even those weapons at your disposal, even without a Galladay, even without a Saquon Barkley, you should be able to do enough damage through the air to keep this thing close.
Sure. And there's a major backdoor potential here. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I was going to point out too is like on Sunday, the Rams are up 38-0 in the third with like 8 minutes here in the third quarter. I mean, it's, if you bet on the Rams minus 16.5, you are living a sweat-free life. It isn't like there's no chance you were going to lose that bet. And you lost it anyway because the Texans scored 22 points in like 5 minutes against a good Rams defense. I mean, it's just, when you're dealing with double-digit point spreads, things just get a little dicey. The Chiefs were 13-5-1 against the spread in 2019. Mm-hmm. Very popular team. They blew people out. The books, sports books adjusted 8-11 in 2020, and thus far and I'm using teamrankings.com for this. Thus far in 2021, they are 2-5 against the spread. They're just not a very good covering team. No. They're not a very good team in general. When you have a team like Kansas City that is always a huge favorite and still manages isn't managing to win football games, they're probably not going to be covering either. So that is a concern there. I mean, I'm taking the 10.5 and you're just not talking me into laying 10.5 for the Chiefs, but I don't really like anything on the total. Honestly, I don't love this game in general.
Yeah, no, I don't really want to touch the total in this at all, really. 52.5, that seems like a high number, just with the way that both of these teams are playing. I mean, we're talking up the Giants a little bit, but they're still like the 27th ranked offense in DVOA. And again, a lot of that has to do with injuries, but they're still not 100%. Still don't have Barkley, still don't have Galladay. Again, they might get those guys back, but still, it's not an entirely complete offense. So you're still kind of having questions about what they were able to do. Like you said earlier, they did win, what was it, 25-3 last week against Carolina, but that was like 25, that was 3-2.
It was like 5-3 in the late,
or whatever it was.
They scored 20 garbage kind of points. If you're going to hang your hat on one trend, this is the one I think I would hang my hat on. Daniel Jones, as an underdog on the road in his career, 72% against the spread. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's Giants or bust for me against the spread. And if I'm betting the total, I'm probably betting the over, but I don't really want to bet it because they're just both defenses are just capable of giving up huge plays. And I think Kansas City, the run game is down to Darrell Williams. So I would bet the over if you have to bet it, you have to bet a total. I would bet the over, and I would take the Giants. The Giants would be my bet here.
Yeah.
I think we're on the same page in terms of those bets. Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll hit some player props. What we need, Sully, is a game that doesn't feature a ton of injuries, which doesn't really happen in the NFL in weeks 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, but we've had some weird ones, especially where it's like,
That's what I'm saying. Like we've had Devontae Adams last Thursday. What do you do with that? Because it's impossible to adjust. We've had like all these big stars are just questionable, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, it's not even that there's big injuries. It's like we don't know the statuses. Like, if we were talking about like Saquon Barkley, he's ruled out. You look at Booker. You can easily make that switch.
Running back props are not a problem.
Right.
But Caesars currently they have Evan Ingram props and they have Devontae Booker props. They have no Giants wide receiver props, and they're probably not going to until we get until Monday Night Countdown starts at 3:00 in the afternoon for this 8:00 game. And
as we always note, this also impacts like first touchdown props, which we love.
Right.
It just moves things around a little bit.
Like we're living in a world where we'll touch on first touchdown props, but like I looked at it, it's Byron Pringle's 15-1. You want me to bet on Byron Pringle at 15-1 for first touchdown? What are we doing? In the words of Taylor Twellman, what are we doing? Anyway, player props. What do you like from a prop perspective?
I think my favorite one, or at least one of my favorite ones, the one that stood out to me the most, and I think you have this one as well, is Patrick Mahomes is over 19.5 rushing yards. That one to me makes a ton of sense. He's hit the over on this in 5 straight games coming into Monday night. Again, they don't have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's Darrell Williams. They're kind of changing up the running back situation. I think they're going to use Mahomes a little bit more. And again, that's just not that high for somebody who I don't think, he's a mobile. He's not like Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson, but he's a very mobile quarterback. They will design some runs for him. Absolutely. So to me, 19.5, I'm smashing that over.
Yeah, I think this is actually mispriced and should be closer to 23.5 or even 24.5. Mahomes has rushed 4 in his last 5 games, 45, 26, 61, 31, and 35 yards in all of those games. Here's the thing. You look at his rush yards, and these aren't designed runs. These are scrambles and leaving the pocket early and picking up first downs. This has sort of been a theme. Now, this would be the concern about the Mahomes rush yards is that the Chiefs, coming off of an embarrassing and humiliating 27-3 loss to the Tennessee Titans, where they scored their lowest point total in the history of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid working together. That Reid and Mahomes, who has I have a froggier voice than Mahomes today. They go back in the lab and they really got laser locked on keeping Mahomes in the pocket, keeping him comfortable, and as we mentioned, the offensive line, some issues there from an injury perspective, but Trey Smith, Joe Tooney, both full practice, should be good to go. And that Mahomes against the Giants, defense that is not, is not elite by any stretch of the imagination, is able to stay in the pocket, make the throws. They get a lead. They pound the ball with Darrell Williams and who else are they running with here? Like,
I mean, they're not running with Jerick McKinnon, but he's available.
Right. He would be Derek Gore. Jeez Louise. I'll tell you, the other bet, I'm going to add something here too, is Patrick Mahomes over pass attempts. They're going to have to they don't really have a run game here.
Yeah.
If they get a lead, like, I don't know that they're going to be able to their defense isn't good enough to just pound the ball and play defense. So
no, it's not. You have to almost keep your foot on the gas. It's not
and chew up clock.
It's not like Los Angeles against the Rams last week. You can kind of take your foot off the gas and let Houston get back into this game.
Oh yeah, Rams Texans.
They can't afford that.
Correct. Yeah. They're too far down in the standings. Like, they're not in the playoffs right now. This is a massive game for it's kind of a must-win game for the Chiefs on Monday night as a 10.5-point favorite. It's kind of insane to say. But my point being is that with the pathway to losing the Mahomes over rushing yards is they get a lead and he's not running for his life, and they're very clearly concentrated on him staying in the pocket and winning from the pocket. I mean, that is clearly a problem for this team, is that Mahomes he's pressing because he's worried about about the defense not being able to stop anybody, and and teams are running the ball and chewing up clock against a bad KC defense, and they're minimizing possessions for the Chiefs, and Mahomes that's what he's doing. He's bouncing from pockets early, he's pressing, and that's why his rushing yards are up. So that would be the problem, but this should really be 24.5. And we could easily see that going over. You like the over on Daniel Jones passing yards as well.
Yeah, and this one I think is something we kind of need to highlight a little bit, almost in the same vein that we highlighted how the line here went up from like 10 to 10.5 overnight from Sunday into Monday. The Daniel Jones passing yards, and again, I say this every week, but I write a story about, a piece that almost goes with this podcast. I write it usually on
sports.com.
Exactly. There you go. Shameless plug. But I write it on Sunday nights and, just to get us ready for the week. I look at it going into this podcast. That number is actually lower than it was last night. So we're looking at Daniel Jones is over 243.5 passing yards. Last night, it was 246.5. So, almost when we're talking about these wide receivers saying, does Vegas know something? Does Caesars know?
Like red flag, like
right.
Alarms or sirens are going up. I kind of want now. Like,
the antenna is going up a little bit where it's like, okay, it's going a little bit more in favor of the Chiefs. Jones's passing yard totals are going down. That's a trend where you got to at least have your antennas raised a little bit. I still like it. Obviously, he's going up against the secondary that hasn't been good. And I know, we're talking about limited pass catching weapons potentially. But again, the Chiefs are allowing 275.7 passing yards per game, well above this passing yard prop. Jones is someone who can throw the ball pretty effectively down the field, whether it's to Darius Slayton, who we know is going to be playing in this game. He's healthy for it. So to me, I still like it, but that is something we should highlight to say, hey, listen, there are some trends going in a different direction here.
For sure. I like Jones over interceptions just to have, like, he needs one pick. It's Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
He needs one interception. It's minus 145. So, you gotta lay the juice, but that could hit on the first play of the game.
Absolutely.
Honestly. Yeah, it wouldn't be shocking at all. Tyreek, I have Darrell Williams over rush yards as well. As we, as we mentioned, their depth chart right now, unless I'm missing somebody, is Darrell Williams, Jerick McKinnon, and Derek Gore. I think you could, it's a 10.5-point favorite at home on a Monday night. Like, I don't know what to tell you. That should be like 65 or 70, even though we don't really think of Darrell Williams as some feature back, right? They're gonna run the ball. The Giants are 22nd in DVOA against the run. It's just too low. Like, there's one guy to run the ball. That's the analysis there. You have Travis Kelsey over receiving yards. I don't mind it. I liked Tyreek Hill's both props over rush yards, a half rush yard, and over receiving yards, 79.5. Again, I don't think the Chiefs are going to come out and just light it up for 40 points, but if the Chiefs come out and have some great defensive game, That's the weird
Yeah.
script that would screw up this stuff, and you would still potentially get there with Darrell Williams on the rush yards. I just tend to think that Tyreek Hill is probably going to have more than that against a Giants defense that is 16th in DVOA against the pass.
Yeah, I just get a little nervous about the Tyreek Hill rushing yards prop that you have. Obviously, he just has to get 1 yard. I mean, it's not that difficult. But he's only been really given like 1 carry a game this season. So you really, and he usually rips it off for like 20 yards on some sort of reverse or whatever.
So this is really not even about. It's not even about over rush yards. It's about over carries. Honestly,
sure, yeah.
If he gets 1 carry, he's going to get over a half yard.
Yeah. That's right. That's exactly right. Like that's exactly what it is. And you just have to hope that his speed, breaks out and he's not hitting the backfield and you're good to go.
He has in 7 games so far, he has hit this over 5 times.
Yep.
With 1 carry in each game. It's not even a over, it's not even like it's will Tyreek Hill get a carry? And will you be sweating the jet sweep he runs near the goal line on the 1-yard line? And like, is it a pitch or is it a carry or is it a catch?
Right.
And that's
is it that little frontward touch pass,
little front flip that Mahomes does? Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing is like, does he get a carry? And if he gets a carry, it will go for positive. It will go for more than 1 yard because Tyreek Hill is super fast, and then you win. If he doesn't get a carry, then we lose. That's
very easy to break it down that way.
Yeah. The only other one I had was Devontae Booker over rush yards. Don't feel good about that by any stretch of the imagination, but it's kind of a low number here for. Let's do the math, right? No Saquon Barkley. Okay, so that's part 1 of the equation. We have Jason Garrett as an offensive coordinator. That's part 2 of the equation. We have a depth chart that features. Okay, I mean, unless I'm missing somebody that they have running the football. It looks like Gary Brightwell. Is that? Do the Giants have more than that behind Devontae Booker? I mean, there's nobody. What a bad running back game. So there's nobody there. The Chiefs are, I believe, 31st in rush defense DVOA. Like, I don't think Devontae Booker is a superstar or anything, but Jason Garrett's going to give him 15 carries. 50 yards is just too low for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And lastly, for me, I know we quickly mentioned it on the Kelsey thing. Kelsey's probably, we'll talk about obviously in the DFS portion of this, but also he's my favorite captain, but also this is my favorite prop I have just because, 78.5 seems like a really high number. But when you talk about the volume that Travis Kelsey gets, he's had double-digit targets, and I believe 4 of the last 5 games, if I have that right. And the Giants are allowing 9.2 yards per reception to opposing tight ends this season. You talk about the type of volume that Kelsey gets,
that's a lot.
The defense that he's going up against, and it just feels like, again, he's going to be earmarked for at the very least 9 to 10 targets in this game. And if he's efficient, we're talking him going well over that number if the defense continues to play poorly against tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, so if it's 9 point, I mean, we say 9.2.
9.2 per catch.
His reception total is like 6.5, and it's over minus 140 or something. So, I mean, yeah, you probably need what 8 or 9 catches. I mean, but and that's if every single one is 9.2 yards. Kelsey's depth of target is probably gonna be bigger than that. Yeah, I mean, like he's averaging. What is he averaging per catch on the year? It's like 6.4 catches per game, and why can I not find this somehow? 11.8 yards per reception.
Pretty good.
It's a good setup for Kelsey. Very quickly, we're going to do first touchdown, and then if you want DFS, it'll be on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6. Tell us who your favorite first touchdown scorer is. I mentioned the Byron Pringle thing off the top, man. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Bet on Byron Pringle 15-1 to be the first touchdown scorer? I'm not doing that. That is annoying. Is my son? You're annoying me. We both had Patrick Mahomes at 25-1 last night. 22-1 for Patrick Mahomes. He's 20-1 now. Oh man. Patrick Mahomes 20-1 or better is probably a good price.
Yeah.
He could run it near the goal line. Wouldn't be surprising at all. He bootlegs all the time. Rushing quarterbacks with rushing equity near the goal line are at 20-1 is a bet. I would guess Mahomes closes at 18-1 or something like that. It's really tough. I had Dante Pettis at 26-1, but that is entirely dependent on what happens with Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard. Shepard's 12-1 and he's questionable. Like, what do we do? Like, if I'm betting on a 12 receiver at 12-1 who's questionable. Evan Ingram 18-1 is, I guess, a little interesting. Darius Slayton 19-1. You have him. He's actually moved up a little bit. You know, I don't mind Slayton at 19-1 either, but it all depends on, are Shepard and Toney playing in this game? I don't even see, is Toney even on the list?
No, he's not on there. And we're pretty like-minded on this, where it's like, we like Mahomes just because of the values there, and then we're kind of picking our Giants wide receiver just to see what happens. For me, Slayton, again, totally dependent on if we see these guys. So I wouldn't bet it. I wouldn't bet this yet. I would wait to find out what's going to happen with obviously the wide receivers. We say that every week, but just good to hammer that home.
This one in particular. Yeah, I mean, it matters. Like, you don't want to bet on Dante Pettis at 27-1, and then Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard are playing, and Dante Pettis is just not going to see any snaps.
Exactly.
Especially like red zone, like, high value touches, as Ben Gretsch likes to say. The other guy that I think is actually worth a little look at 30-1 that we can add, producer Chris, is Kyle Rudolph.
Okay.
Even though Rudolph, like, he's not the number one tight end. Evan Ingram's there, and Evan Ingram, what did I say? Evan Ingram was 18-1. I mean, this Byron Pringle thing is really sticking with me. I don't know why. It really bothers me. But Kyle Rudolph, for years in Minnesota, was a red zone weapon. They like to get, they're going to put two tight ends. They're going to, like, bigger formations, and they'll leak out Kyle Rudolph in play action. He caught a touchdown. I think he got the first touchdown against the Panthers last week. Just a guy that they will use in the red zone. So Rudolph, I would throw on there as 30-1. It's not a bad long shot as well. Anybody else for you?
No, I think that's it. I mean, for me, just again, Slayton, wait and see what happens. I do like him in the sense that him and Jones have history of having a rapport, particularly hitting those downfield shots. We talked how poor the KC secondary's been. So again, wait and see. Wouldn't love it if Toney and Shepard are playing, but honestly, still wouldn't surprise me. So if you love Slayton, you might as well wait anyways, because if Toney and them play, that odds are only going to get better.
Yep, agreed completely. All right, that's it for the gambling portion of this program. We are going to head on over to YouTube to tell you about the DFS plays for this game. Thanks for listening. Go subscribe on YouTube and hit that like button. All right. So, oh my Lord. There was some Adrian Peterson news as we were recording this podcast, or like before we recorded this podcast. Oh, excuse me. Derrick Henry news. Like, the Titans are going to work out Adrian Peterson. What a time to be alive.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? I can't wait to play Adrian Peterson in DFS. For now, though, we have to deal with the DFS portion, or this DFS setup for tonight. If you look at obviously Mahomes is going to be the most expensive captain, $18K. Tyreek Hill, $16.5. Travis Kelsey, $15.9. Daniel Jones, $15.3. Darrell Williams, a robust $13.5. And Devontae Booker, $12.3. Also above $10K for captain prices, Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney, who have questionable tags, as we pointed out. And then Darius Slayton is the only other player who could be involved that is above the backup quarterback prices at 9.6. You mentioned that you like Travis Kelsey as the top captain.
Yep. And I said it on the podcast. I mean, he's just been, one of these guys who has been an absolute target hog for Patrick Mahomes. He's always been. He's arguably the best tight end in all of football, the best tight end in all of football in terms of the receiving game.
I think he's definitely the top tight end, right?
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, it's
Kittle's been hurt and Waller's been kind of. Yeah.
It received double-digit targets in 4 of the last 5 games. I assume that will continue against the Giants team, like I said earlier, allowing 9.2 yards per catch to opposing tight ends this season. If we're talking about that type of volume going against that type of defense, it is a match made in heaven for a captain spot, and something that clearly Andy Reid has pinpointed himself. If I can figure it out in my basement at my house that there's a pretty good matchup here for Travis Kelsey, and the numbers suggest that, he clearly sees them too. Patrick Mahomes, it's not like we're asking him to pull a rabbit out of his hat and throw to Byron Pringle of all people. No, it's Travis Kelsey, the best receiving tight end in all of the NFL. So again, that one to me makes a lot of sense. And you can still have a decent lineup there. The one that I have, I'm fading Mahomes. This is where it kind of gets a little interesting, and try to make it a little bit unique.
Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Well, again, this is just one of the many that I'll make because I'm a degenerate DFS guy. But, Travis Kelsey, Mecole Hardman, Tyreek Hill, Daniel Jones, Demarcus Robinson, and Kadarius Toney is kind of how I'm playing it. 2 Giants, the rest Chiefs, trying to expose myself to Patrick Mahomes as much as I can. But again, still trying to fit it in because Kelsey is a pretty expensive captain.
Yeah. You're gonna have to, if you go with let's build out the Kelsey lineup here. By the way, I want to point out, not like anybody wants to hear my nearly close call DFS, but on Sunday night, the Dak Prescott's ruled out. He's ruled out right before game time, so his price was up there. Cooper Rush was $6K for the, or excuse me, he was he was $9K for the captain spot, $6K for the flex spot, which is the absolute bare, that is the floor for a quarterback. Like if you want to play Mike Glennon tonight, and look, we've seen in these primetime games, weird stuff happens. We've seen Marcus Mariota actually win somebody $1 million when Derek Carr suffered an injury on a Monday Night Football game last year, and Mariota came in, and this one guy, the whole contest had Mariota as a captain spot. I'm not suggesting to do that. My point is just that the backup quarterbacks, bare minimum, $9,000 for the captain spot. I played Cooper Rush as a captain, and it was very nearly the optimal lineup. The only lineup I had that really did anything, and it actually had a decent shot. It was like 43rd going into the final touchdown pass from Rush to Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper captains one was the optimal lineup on Sunday night. This is I think it was actually somebody who works at FTN had Amari Cooper as the captain, but it was a 4-2 Cowboys to Vikings lineup. Kirk Cousins actually made it in there along with Adam Thielen, Cooper Rush, Cedric Wilson, CeeDee Lamb, and then, as I mentioned, Amari Cooper's the captain. The only reason I point this out is that when you start doing the lineup construction, when you're building, I built a bunch of lineups that were like 5-1 Vikings, like Vikings onslaught, and because there's no Dak Prescott, right? Well, that's not. Football's weird. Sometimes Cooper Rush plays really well on Sunday night. The Cowboys, take care of business against the Vikings. And so that's just, you have to think about that when you're building these out. It's possible that a Giants player, like the Giants could roll the Cowboys. I don't think roll the Chiefs. I don't think that's likely, but it's possible. Just, thinking through it as you were preparing the lineup. Anyway.
Yeah. Real quick. What was the captain ownership on Rush?
On Rush, it was 10.5%.
Yeah.
Still not bad. Kind of high. Amari Cooper's captain draft 2.69%, and Cooper is only in 33% of all these lineups. It's crazy.
That's
you just have to sort of think outside the box sometimes and but guess right.
Right.
A point where it's like I had a bunch of these crap. If the move was when building these lineups was to go if you went 4-2 Cowboys to Vikings, you were flirting with some stuff, and I think that the two most popular lineup constructions for this particular game will be 4 Chiefs and 2 Giants, or 3 and 3. So, if you want to try and get outside the box with the Chiefs, it's probably a 5-1 Chiefs, or if you can narrow down exactly who the Chiefs will be, 4 Giants to 2 Chiefs, if you think it'll be a close game.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And so again, similar to what I'm saying, where it's like I'm constructing this lineup with Kelsey. Like you're saying, it's going to be pretty similar to a lot of these other teams. But if I can expose myself to Patrick Mahomes and maybe not play him, that's where I can kind of differentiate myself on a stack that's pretty similar, where it's 5 and
Patrick Mahomes is really quarterbacks score a ton of points. Patrick Mahomes is not playing like a top 5 quarterback, but quarterbacks in general. It's possible that Patrick Mahomes is not in the optimal lineup because he is so expensive.
Right, exactly.
All right, so you go Kelsey as captain, no Mahomes,
but then I go Tyreek Hill. I'll try to keep it relatively work down the line. Daniel Jones, Kadarius Toney, and then
And-
we are at Mecole Hardman, and then Demarcus Robinson.
Okay.
So you got to go down a little bit, but yeah. And then Robinson, he's in the 800s again. It's just a cheap guy who has a role. He had a ton of offensive snaps last week against Tennessee.
Yep.
It wasn't
he's
wasn't like
$800. He could catch a touchdown.
right,
Like
exactly.
it's
You're
yeah.
throwing a dart.
And obviously, if Kadarius Toney is ruled out before this game, you've got Darius Slayton at 6,400, who you would just swap out with.
Exactly.
So if you're building this particular lineup, that's how you would want to go with that. And then you have lots of options if you wanted to pick, yeah, exactly. There you go, Chris. Put you toss Darius Slayton in there. You have Evan Ingram down there at 5,400 if you wanted to swing that particular direction.
And if you don't like Robinson, you can use that leftover cash, move up, see what's there. I believe you could go Jerick McKinnon too. I think he's $1,000. Like I don't love that, but again, an option there if you really wanted to.
For sure. I would suggest that Patrick Mahomes is a good captain.
Sure.
That's crazy talk.
Bold take, but I like it.
Yeah. All right, we'll listen to it. So you see Sully's lineup there, and now look. I mean, like I'm not. I mean, look, you and I are pretty chalky when it comes to these picks, but I think that is going to be a pretty popular style of build. Not that it can't win. You could end up chopping, whatever. I'm sure. It's a milli, right? A milli?
Yeah, I think we got $1 million tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Is it? It's a million first, huh? Million to first. Last night was 300 to first. 300K. How does that? How do we go from? I don't know. Anyway, it's a million. It's a million to first. There's a pretty good chance you'll be chopping it because of the way that these teams are built, unless the Giants keep it really close and there's a bizarre, Giants optimal captain, or again, like unless it's like a Mike Glennon game, right, where Daniel Jones gets hurt in the first quarter and Glennon comes in, and I mean that happened actually in a was it Cowboys Giants? Glennon played. Remember,
that did happen. Yeah,
and Glennon ended up playing. Mike ended up playing a bunch of snaps in there. So I mean, like that's somebody out there will build a Giants defense captain or a Mike Glennon captain. Trust me, there are enough lineups where it'll happen. Let's clear that thing out, and I'm going to build a Mahomes. I'm going to build what I think is, if you believe. Now we both like the Giants plus 10.5 and think the Giants can keep it close. Having said that, there is absolutely a pathway where the Chiefs come into this game at home in prime time, having been utterly humiliated by a conference rival, scoring 3 points in their last time out. I think there'll be some people who do these builds and think the Chiefs defense is garbage. The Giants will keep it close. 3-3 Giants and Chiefs, or 4 as we did 4 Chiefs and 2 Giants. And so let's just build an onslaught, a Chiefs onslaught, absolute decimation of the New York Football Giants. Patrick Mahomes is our captain in that. I think if you want to do that, Patrick Mahomes needs to be your captain.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to do one Giants player, and that Giants player is going to be the guy distributing the ball, who also runs a lot. Danny Dimes. We'll plug him in there. We'll also go with Tyreek Hill. Oh, interesting. Now, you can do this. You can build this one of two ways. I actually had a separate run. Let me see something real quick. So let's add. Don't tell me how to spend my money. Optimizer. Let's add Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey. Because why not? And then DeMarcus Robinson and Byron Pringle. Patrick Mahomes, 4 pass catchers. Can I do that? I had it. What is happening? I see what happened. It's not going to let me do it with Danny Dimes. Sorry. Clear out Danny Dimes. That's what the issue is. All right, we'll do 2 different builds here. Kelsey, Hill, Robinson. Sorry, I screwed you up, Chris. Robinson, Pringle. Pringle's 800 and Pringle's 2,200 and Robinson's 800. So yeah, right there. There's Pringle. So we got Patrick Mahomes and his 4 primary pass catchers, and then we're gonna go with I think we get Sterling Shepard in there, maybe.
Okay.
And I need to make sure I got a pivot off of. Well, scroll up and just see how much I got left. So I left 400 on the table. So in theory, I could go up to 7,400. So you could go. We could go Kadarius Toney here too. This is one where for that, look, we got 7,400. So we got to pick one of the pass catchers for the Giants. If Kadarius Toney's in, I think I'm going to take Kadarius Toney over Sterling Shepard.
Yeah, I feel like I like that better. I feel like it's a higher upside.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney. I mean, man, he looked awesome when he was playing. Now the downside of Kadarius Toney, yeah, you can do. Oh, so Shepard's actually more expensive. He's 7,000. Kadarius Toney 6,800, and then Slayton 6,400. Just like we were talking about with Sully's lineup with that pass catcher. Basically, it's a wait and see who's active. And remember, Toney came into the last game against I think it was against the Panthers, where he was in there and then suffered an injury and was ruled out like fairly quickly. And we thought it was going to be worse than it was. But with Toney, you have to be aware that the last time out, people got burnt by him because he played very few. I think it was against the Panthers. Or was he out? Maybe he was out against the Panthers in the week before that. Kadarius Toney was a popular play in fantasy and DFS. Suffered an injury early and was ruled out and did not come back. And so people will feel a little burnt by that. So just be aware of that. You can go Toney, Sterling Shepard, or Darius Slayton.
Well, not even that. I mean, just go back to what you were talking about with Cooper Rush last week. Last night, you were pretty high you were in that competition because there was not a ton. I mean, there was decent ownership, but again,
I mean, for a starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, it was not high ownership. Exactly.
Right. Exactly. So you have to, again, you waited to see what was going to happen with Prescott, and then you adjusted accordingly. That's the way you got to play this.
Yeah. And just, I mean, think through the game theory of all that. People love when I say game theory on this podcast, so why not? Okay. So let's build, don't clear it out, but take out, let's see. So we do Mahomes as our captain, and we're gonna do. You can take out Kelsey, Pringle, and Toney, and we're gonna go. We can grab Daniel Jones right there, who I see at the top of the screen as our single. Now this is instead of going. We want access to more Giants points by virtue of making the only Giants player that we use Daniel Jones. If for some reason this is a Travis Kelsey game, this lineup is dead. It's like what was the Saints? Who did the Saints play?
The Alvin Kamara game with
Alvin Kamara. Yeah, right. Exactly. It was Kamara put up 46 points or something insane as in the captain spot. If Kelsey catches 3 touchdowns, this lineup is dead. I mean, I guess no, it's dead. It's there's no Travis Kelsey here. Now, if Tyreek Hill goes off, this lineup's still alive, but it's more than like, Hill and Kelsey can break a slate, and to the point where if you don't have them as captain, it's over. If the targets and the catches and the touchdowns are all concentrated from Mahomes to one of those guys, you have to have them as captain if you want to win. But we're gonna take a more spread out approach with Mahomes there. Daniel Jones, we want access to the potential scoring for the Giants, and then we're gonna go with Mecole Hardman. Who doesn't love Mecole? Let's see, they're 4,800, and that leaves us. Again, we're doing a 5-1 onslaught here, so we will then have Harrison Butker, the Chiefs kicker, right there. Whereas we don't want to do. Dante Pettis is available. I don't think we had enough for, and that leaves 1,200 on the table. I'm fine with that. Showdown, you don't have to worry about how much you leave on the table. I don't think I could not have gotten to Evan Ingram. But again, the whole point is the 4-2 Chiefs Giants is going to be the most popular build. So if you want to differentiate yourself, you can do one of the, I think I'll probably have a bunch of those 5-1 onslaughts. And now I believe is the time when we do our weird lineup that neither of us enter, and then is inevitably in the mix late because again,
and then we're DMing each other being like, did you play it?
No, did you enter that? I didn't enter that either. All right, so let's clear this thing out. And look, here's the other thing too, with these showdown slates, I'm looking at an optimizer right now. We have one on Sportsline.
Yep.
Yeah, you use it on Sportsline. Everyone uses an optimizer for these things. So if you want to figure out what is and all these optimizers have, like color coded point systems. Mahomes and Kelsey and Hill are going to be the popular like selections. Like they pop up in the optimizers. That's just how it works. There is absolutely a pass, Sully, where Daniel Jones is the optimal captain. So let's toss him in as our captain. Now, like I don't think he'll have very many. I don't think his ownership will be very high as captain.
No,
because
I don't think
he's
so.
15-3. I mean, he's a quarterback, but people, if you go with Daniel Jones as the captain, it just makes it tougher to get access to those Chiefs players. So we're going to Daniel Jones as the captain. Oh man, you can really do it. This is where the onslaught thing works too.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you because I have one where I have a 4-2 Giants.
You're doing Giants also. I was gonna say, or actually, before we get to the weird one, I'll point this out too. You can get basically, in fact, almost the exact same lineup I had before. So you could go Daniel Jones as captain and go Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Byron Pringle, Miko Hardman, and Harrison Butker. If you wanted to do a Danny Dimes captain Chiefs onslaught lineup where it's 5-1, just to differentiate yourself from people who have Mahomes and Tyreek or Travis Kelsey as the captain there, and then you got $700 left over, I think, right there, Miko at 4,800. So yeah, that's not what we're talking about with the weird Costanza lineup.
Sure, yeah.
But that is one that I think less people will have. Okay, so sorry, Chris, let's clear that out, and we'll go with all right. So what? I don't know that I have the stomach for a 5-1 Giants or 5 Giants and 4
Chiefs. I don't know if I
Chiefs.
do either.
But I do think we can get to a 2 Chiefs and 4 Giants where I don't know, weird stuff happens and the game is low. I don't know. Daniel Jones is captain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so, to me, again, if you're going to do this, what are we banking on? We're banking on this Chiefs defense continuing to be poor, continuing for Daniel Jones.
By the way, I can't even. I'm like telling this optimizer that I'm using to give me 4 Giants and 2 Chiefs. It just won't do it. Like it's
they're saving you from yourself. That's what they're doing.
Wait, we cannot do that. I'm sorry, sir. We are going to give you what Daniel Jones at cap. It literally won't do it. So but that's kind of interesting in the sense that they're not going to be many 4-2 Giants. Like if that is remotely correct, and somehow the Giants are like shutting down the Chiefs offense, or Travis Kelsey or Tyreek Hill gets banged up and has to leave the game, you're going to have a massive leg up on in terms of like ownership. So anyway, go ahead with the
for sure. And so to me, it would be Daniel Jones is my captain, clear cut. The one Chief, or I have 2 Chiefs, but the main Chief, it's still up there. Travis Kelsey, you can throw him in there. Then we would go with, and again, barring that both of these 2 guys play in this game. So again, this is one of those we got to pay attention. But Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney.
Agreed.
Then Evan Ingram.
Okay.
And the last but not least would be Miko Hardman. So you're getting the speed, you're getting the pass catching for Patrick Mahomes in terms of, again, if Hill doesn't have a good game, it turns into a Miko Hardman game. You're still getting some exposure there. But again, this is more to say about the offense for the Giants and if they are just exposing that Chiefs defense. It's weird.
I mean, legitimately, like that lineup is terrible.
Yeah.
Like you, like I dare. I mean, like you build that lineup out on your phone, which is Sully and I are old. I mean, I think we both build on the app, right? Like we're not sort of downloading Excel sheets here. We're not like super sharp, like uploading 150 lineups through DFS. I would have a difficult time hitting save lineup, like submit, spend $15 on said lineup, or whatever the cost is for this entry. I mean,
there's probably way more fun ways to spend $15 than with this lineup.
Absolutely, man. I mean, that lineup is kind of hot trash. Like, I mean, you're telling me like no Mahomes, no Tyreek Hill.
Well, how would you? So what are we? If we're gonna do this Giants thing,
and I mean, there's a compliment. Like that's like I mean, I don't know. It would be tough to happen. I think you could do. All right, let's say you want to Devontae. So I mean, I think with the way that the problem is if you do Giants heavy, I don't think that. Like I don't. I mean, you could go with Devontae Booker. The problem is, I mean, are the Giants going to have the ball and just run the ball
Right.
down the Chiefs'
That I
throats?
don't know. That I
Yeah.
don't. That I don't see.
I mean, just it feels like if you do this 5-1 Giants is just like a you're just throwing money away because right. So let's assume that I mean, let's say Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney both play. So all right, clear that or don't clear it out, but you can leave Shepard and Toney in there. Take out Kelsey, Ingram, and Hardman. Oh, gross.
I know.
Um,
You're not really left with much.
I might have messed up earlier when I said that. So I guess Elijah Penny could actually get carries for this for the
Okay. Yeah. That's true.
okay. So this is a disgusting and putrid lineup that we're gonna try. All right, so we're gonna add Mahomes in there.
Okay.
This is gonna assume like a heavy distribution of like Mahomes is the only guy who's optimal in this situation, and then that gives us. We're gonna do Devontae Booker as well. Ugh. And then scroll down and we'll do Elijah Penny for $600. This is, I don't even know how this. I mean, maybe we need Giants defense. I don't even. Hold on, let me see. I might have taken Giants defense out of. I might have removed it from the player pool.
I get the Mahomes angle, but the 5-1 to me is really it's tough.
No, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. I mean, I'm guarantee you that it's going to be like 40 to 50% of these lineups are right. Like, I mean, that's an insane lineup. But I mean, here's the pathway to it. Tyreek Hill, is Tyreek Hill, hurts his hand or pulls his hammy, in the first quarter and doesn't play, and you probably want to have Mahomes or Kelsey, Kelsey coming back. The Devontae Booker thing is kind of interesting because he's $8,200, which is a lot for a running game that we don't think is very good and like backup guys. Not Saquon Barkley, obviously. I sort of wonder if we couldn't. I mean, let's try to clear that thing out. Let's try something completely different here.
You think it's Booker captain?
Yeah, Devontae Booker is captain at 12-3. And he's just not going to carry much captain ownership at 12-3.
No.
As a running back on a team as a 10.5 point underdog, and he's with all these other players on available to us. Yeah, I mean, these
when you're talking about
and
when you're talking about a total that's like 52 right now too. I mean, that's
I think if we do any Giants lineup that the Giants are winning, probably has to have the Daniel Jones in there as well. So let's go up and grab Daniel Jones. This is repugnant. The Giants, I don't know if I can stomach the Giants defense. You would need a defensive touchdown, I think, to make that work.
You would need Mahomes has thrown a pick, I think, in like every game except for one this season. So I guess it's possible if he makes that like try too hard, no look, try to pass or whatever. But still, I don't love.
Yeah, it doesn't feel particularly comforting to fire that lineup up. So we're gonna lock Daniel Jones. We're gonna lock. Let's do Kadarius Toney. I'm just trying to sort of work through.
Yeah.
If you do Sterling Shepard, yeah, you could go Patrick Mahomes and then Demarcus Robinson. So basically, you need Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey not to catch any touchdowns, and the Giants to put up a ton of points. I mean, these will be super, super unique, they will be super contrarian, and there will just not be a lot of people on these. Like it is really hard to wrap your brain around the idea that the Giants will just dominate. Like Devontae Booker is the captain. It's just a hard thing to think about, honestly. I mean, that's fair, right? Like, I mean,
no. Trust me. When we make these, when we're making again, like we say we like obviously the Giants plus 10.5, but that's very different from saying the Giants are going to blow doors and they are going to win by 10.5. It's
right. I mean, it's. I mean, you almost have to to build these out. You almost have to go into and lock. Yeah, I mean, I think if you go Devontae Booker captain, that's really the only lineup that comes across. I'll enter that one, and I will definitely think that I'm throwing $15 away, and then at about 11 o'clock on Sunday or Monday night, I'll be DMing Sully like, hey, check this out. Look at like this thing.
Yeah,
Like look, the
I'm,
data.
I'm
The
sweating this
Booker
right now.
lineup's working. All right, that's. I mean, man, it is hard to it's hard to talk yourself into that one.
It
Any
is.
other? Any other?
I feel like these contrarian lineups or these what quote unquote Costanza lineups or whatever are way more tough to swallow than previous ones.
Yeah. Well, it's because you are literally like you're saying sorry, Travis Kelsey and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, that's true.
And look, I mean,
That's
like
true.
we say these contrarian lineups always pop. It's entirely possible that what ends up happening is it's not about it's not about being different than the field. It's about how you positioned Kelsey, Hill, and Mahomes in your lineup relative to who is the captain, and did you get lucky with random Giants pass catcher? And again, it depends. Tony and Shepard are pretty key here. They're questionable if neither one of them play. That opens up things a lot because you could go down and get Kyle Rudolph at $1,800, right? You could we have Slayton at 6,400, not that much of a discount really, but it would give you the freedom to go and add some cheap Giants pass catchers, and then you could have a 3-3 with Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, and Jones, Booker. Those two guys matter a lot, as we talked about in the gambling portion and in the DFS portion. All right, anything else from you?
No, that's it, man.
Same here. Good stuff as always. All right, that'll do it. I can't wait to. All right, we should probably screenshot that lineup, by the way, because Lord knows it's going to end up making $1 billion, and we won't have it. Don't worry. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to enter some weird Giants lineups on the slate, I think. Sully, as always, a pleasure, buddy. Talk to you on Thursday.